What's up, YouTube people? It's your boy Patty McNinja, and this past Friday we got the much anticipated puzzle platformer Cocoon. And if you've watched my past videos, you know I'm a big fan of the genre, so obviously I've played it and I want to talk about it. So without further ado, let's rock. So like I just said, puzzle platformers, my favorite genre of video games. And I was especially excited for Cocoon because it was also made by the same people that made Limbo and Inside, which are some of the best puzzle platformers ever made. Limbo is actually probably top 15 favorite games of all time. So I was especially excited for Cocoon. Cocoon was released on September 29th. It was developed by Geometric Interactive and published by Annapurna Interactive. It was released on all platforms, that's including the Switch and Xbox One and PlayStation 4. I played this day one on Gamepass on my Series S. And you might be thinking to yourself, you just said Cocoon was made by the same people that made Limbo and Inside. Well, I kind of fibbed, but not really. So after Limbo and Inside was released, the lead gameplay designer left the studio to co-found this new studio, and Cocoon is actually the first game that they've developed. In Cocoon, the player awakes amidst a desolate wasteland, stumbling upon a strange orb. Within each of these orbs lies a distinctive realm of the game, enabling the player to traverse between them while also granting a particular power. These orbs additionally serve as a source of energy for the numerous contraptions scattered across these landscapes, including elevators and platforms. As the player progresses through each orb, they will ultimately face formidable boss battles that demand the use of specific mechanics. And while it makes sense that people are comparing Cocoon to games like Limbo and Inside based on the creative team behind it, this game actually feels more inspired by games like Death's Door and Tunic, where Limbo and Inside are very linear platformers. You're going from point A to point B, solving the puzzles in between. Death's Door and now Cocoon feels like they give you more freedom, or at least the illusion of freedom. Cocoon drops you into a seemingly large map, but if you've played platformers like this before, you know the drill. The game only lets you go where it wants you to go. There are certain obstacles blocking your path that can only be overcome with certain abilities. You have to come back to that path when you have the ability that unlocks it. So it's kind of Metrovania in that sense. Those abilities are unlocked by exploring the current world until you encounter its boss. And yes, you heard me correctly, there are boss battles in this puzzle platformer. However, they're pretty straightforward and they're not nearly as difficult as the boss battles in Death's Door. So when you first come across the boss, the game will give you what I would describe as kind of a mini tutorial for the boss battle. After that, it's just a matter of avoiding the boss and performing whatever action the game just taught you. It's pretty simple, but I did think that the boss battles were a nice change of pace from the platformer. I especially liked, I believe it might be the last boss, where you basically just fly around, avoid it, and you get it stuck in this like goo, and then you basically just ram into it while you're flying around, and it was a lot of fun. And then once you defeat that boss, you get the corresponding globe and its ability, and that ability allows you to unlock a path that you couldn't previously unlock. It actually reminded me, the globes reminded me a lot of, if you've ever seen the first Men in Black film, the cat that has the little collar that has the little galaxy hanging off of it. That's kind of what the globes in Cocoon reminded me of. However, you can only use a particular globe's ability if you're carrying it. And of course, you can only carry one globe at a time. You're just a little guy, so you can only carry one at a time, and you can only set them down at certain spots. So a lot of this game, a lot of the puzzles involve you figuring out what globe you need for whatever situation that you're in. And the game teaches you a lot of stuff. It's very good about letting you know exactly what you need to do. But one really important mechanic that it teaches you early on is what I call stacking the globes. And by that, I mean you can literally travel to one world while holding another, set the one that you were just carrying down in the other world, travel back to your original point, and you can literally carry the world that you just jumped into while the other one is inside it. So it basically allows you to use the globe's ability that you're currently carrying while also transporting the other globe. And it's a lot of fun. It does get a little tricky and kind of tedious towards the end. There's a puzzle, especially at the very end, where you literally have to stack the globes in a particular order, and it gets very tedious. But outside of that particular puzzle, I thought it was really fun. Again, part of the puzzles in this game, if you want to call them puzzles, is just kind of figuring out how to get all of the globes where they need to be. There's even several moments in Cocoon later on in the game where it forces you to basically transport a particular ability across multiple worlds, and it does get a little tricky. However, what I really appreciated about this game, and it kind of takes a little bit from the other platformers that we talked about earlier in this video, is the controls are very, very simple. Literally, all you do is move your little guy and you have one button to interact. There's literally nothing else. So yes, some of the puzzles are kind of complex. The game does throw a lot at you. There's a lot of different stacking the globes and all that stuff. However, at the end of the day, it's not super overwhelming because you know, no matter what, you can only do these two things. You're only gonna hit this joystick and you're gonna press this button, and that's it. And I really appreciated that. But the biggest difference between Cocoon and its Playdead predecessors has got to be the color scheme. Limbo and Inside both use dark gothic colors. Cocoon, on the other hand, is covered with bright, vibrant colors. It's almost like the designers went out of their way to give us a game on the opposite end of the color spectrum. Also, each world has its own color scheme and vibe to it, which made exploring them so much fun. My favorite world, as you probably would have guessed it from my backdrop, is the purple one. The music and sound design were also top-notch in Cocoon. Some of these puzzles, like I said earlier, were difficult and took a lot of trial and error, a lot of tedious stacking and unstacking globes, and I might have given up on this game if I didn't enjoy the little things like the music and sound design as much as I did. There were even certain puzzles where the game would give you certain like subtle audio clues that you were on the right track, and it kind of felt like the game in a weird way was cheering me on with just the music and sound design, which was really, really cool. And while I personally don't think it quite stacks up with platformer greats like Limbo or even Inside, Cocoon is easily the best platformer I've played this year and probably in a while. It takes great skill to make a puzzle platformer this deep and layered, but yet keep it simple to play. Cocoon does just that. And like its Playdead counterparts, it doesn't overstay its welcome as well. You can easily beat this game in about 5-6 hours, depending on how quickly you pick up the puzzles. I really enjoyed this game and I can't recommend it enough. 4.5 out of 5 stars. But as I always say at the end of these videos, those are just my thoughts on this game. I'd love to hear yours in the comments down below. Of course, I hope that you enjoyed this video. If you did, smash that like button, as the kids say. That is a free, easy way to help me out. It just tells YouTube that you enjoyed the video and that it should push it to other people that might enjoy this content as well. If you do enjoy this content, I would appreciate if you consider subscribing. If you do subscribe, ding that bell. That way you get notified every time I post a video. I try to post weekly gaming related content. So if you're into that kind of stuff, definitely consider subscribing and dinging that bell. But until next video, take it easy. What's up, YouTube people? It's your boy Patty McNinja, and this is my boy Yoshi, aka Kitty Boy, and we were just talking and we agree that since you made it this far in the video, you might as well subscribe. You wouldn't want to disappoint Kitty Boy, would you?